Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another live stream. My name is Kat Huang. I'm a teaching artist here at Art Prof, and I'm joined today by fellow teaching artist Jordan McCracken-Foster. Today, we are doing another Procreate draw along, and this time we are focusing on shading and coloring. And also, remember that you can draw along with us in any media you prefer. We're using Procreate, but you can feel free to use pencil, marker, whatever you feel like choosing. And if you want to nerd out about art, Art Prof has everything you need, from tutorials to critiques to a community of fellow art nerds. So how about I start us off with just explaining what I'm doing today. I'm taking a previous character design that I did of Jordan and just finishing it up, like coloring it, shading it some more. And this is Cowboy Jordan. This is his name, Cowboy Jordan. And as a bonus, I actually took several reference photos to help me finish up this image. So as you can see on the left, this is me in a faux leather jacket, and I'm like doing the pose. I got the lighting down to be similar to what I have in my image. I even went so far as to like cut out these lightning bolts, paper strips, to put them on my jacket to see how it like functioned with the clothing. And I also asked Jordan to take a few selfies of himself so that I could get his face proportions and everything about that in my image. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. What will you be doing today, Jordan?
So I will also be working on a character that I started a couple weeks ago, and it became a meme on Art Prof, sort of, where I have this Lauren Goose Warrior. And I always said at the beginning, I said, I want to keep working on it at some point. And now the day has come. So what I've created here is a little mood board of what I'm imagining for Lauren. So I put this together really quickly, like 10 minutes. I just got some references of like what a cool warrior would look like for Lauren. So I have Princess Mononoke and whoever this is, and just some stuff that would inspire me. So periodically you'll see me flip back and forth. We also have a stream based on how to create mood boards, and it's really helpful for when you're trying to create characters or even environments. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. So yeah, Goose Warrior Lauren. Oh man, it feels like visiting an old friend. It's just it's really cool. I still have a lot to figure out.
Every time we have a draw along, I keep thinking, oh, I really want to see Goose Warrior Lauren again. And the day has finally come.
Yes, it's going to be epic. And if you guys have suggestions for me, because Kat is way further along than I am, the only thing I said, I was like, hey, if you want to, clean up the stubble on my face, you can do that. Feel free. but yeah, I have quite a ways to go. So I still have to figure out, like, finalize the outfit and, determine how big the mohawk is, because she's having a mohawk, like whether you like it or not. But, yeah.
So Ken Lee says, Kat is taking this serious with reference photos. Yeah, I mean, the past several streams I had Cowboy Jordan on, I kept saying like, oh, I need better reference photos. Oh my gosh, I need better reference photos. And the day has finally come. So I finally bit the bullet. I finally took my own reference photos. And there's actually an Art Prof video about that. So you guys can go check it out and also take your own reference photos. It really is very simple to get a good reference. But a lot of people don't do it for some reason.
What do you think is like one of the more helpful tips for capturing a reference, like in a situation like this? Like, what did you focus on that would really help you?
Do you mean for like a situation like this cowboy image?
Yeah, or just like, let's say you're doing a pose and you're like, well, I need reference. What do you choose to focus on? Because like you could have gotten reference for color, you could have gotten it for, anything you wanted. What made you choose what you did?
That's a good question. So for my references, I focus mostly on form and material. So getting that costume down right, the right clothing, and also the facial proportions was important to me. But you see, I don't own a red leather jacket. So I'm going to have to make do with what I have. So I ended up just using a black leather jacket. I tried to I don't have a cowboy hat either, so I just had a normal hat, and I don't have green sunglasses, so I just wore normal sunglasses. But if I really wanted to take that extra step, I could have photoshopped everything to be the colors I wanted. So I could have photoshopped this jacket red, or I could have photoshopped the glasses green. So anyways, to answer your question, I was mostly focusing on form and costume. I could have gotten references for color too, but I didn't because I would have taken too much effort. But if I was like super, super serious, I would.
At least you're honest about it.
Yeah.
That's the effort portion. Some people just hide away from that and shy away from it. Like, no, everything took 17 hours to put together. It's like, no, this is real quick. I'm in a hurry. I gotta figure out the right look for Lauren. I guess she's a warrior. She's gotta be like scowling. Maybe she's about to go into battle or something.
Seven Angelic says, ooh, Lauren's mohawk should be super colorful.
That's a good point. Yeah, I have a couple reference images of Lauren on different screens, and almost all of them have different color hair for her. So definitely got to utilize that. I don't know. We got to decide what the color of this mohawk will be, because here I have it as blue, but maybe that's not the right color for her today. I don't know.
I mean, Lauren's all about red, right? Like red is her thing.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. All right, well, we'll do red then. For those of you who watch Cobra Kai, you might appreciate this. One of my favorite characters in the show is a guy called Hawk, who has this giant mohawk and it's always dyed red at the top. He's a really amazing character. Kind of reminds me of that. I would say more, but I don't want to spoil it because I don't think you've seen the cat.
Maria says, I sometimes get way too picky with reference pictures. Then I remember that I don't need the one exact image. I can and most of the time should use more. Yeah, I totally agree, Maria. I would usually have like hundreds of reference photos. In this case, I only have 4 because I don't want to overload the reference image tab, if that's even a thing. Yeah, I should have had more.
Well, at least you can, exercise the imagination in the areas that you're struggling with right now.
Thanks for trying to save me, Jordan.
Thanks
for trying to save me.
Yeah, you're welcome. You are welcome. I'm doing my best to help.
But I will say that I do have at least 2 for each reference subject I have. So I have at least 2 Jordans and I have at least 2 me's here. They might seem very similar, but if you look at the first one, I chose the first one because the hand is similar with the Jordan hand I'm about to draw. And then in the second one, I think the clothing actually fits more in the silhouette of the image I also am trying to draw. So yeah, you can take references from multiple images and just combine it into one image. Yeah. Our prof asks, Kat, did someone else take the reference photo of you? Yes, someone did take the reference photo of me. Normally, I would be the one to take the reference photo. I would have someone else pose in this clothing, and then I would take a picture of that person. That way I can control what angles I want. I can also take as many photos as I want. I can zoom in and take detail shots of the clothing or something like that. But in my case, the clothing I have only fits me. So I asked someone else to take a picture of me wearing the clothing because only I can wear it.
Yeah, that sounds really nice. Most of the time I end up taking my own reference photos and I can't get certain angles and I struggle. Lavinia LC says, how do you decide a color scheme? I always find that I get carried away with color and end up making a random rainbow. What I do personally is I will first off consider what type of image I'm trying to make. So in this context, I assume you're talking about characters, although you can do it for environments as well. And I'll say, okay, is this character supposed to be more intense or more angry? Maybe I'll use red. Is he supposed to be cool and calm and collected? Maybe I'll use blue. And so understanding psychology of color is big. And so I will choose a main color to associate them with. And then the rest, I'll just try and choose stuff that doesn't clash, things that look super gaudy and ridiculous. But that's my personal method. What about you, Kat?
Yeah, all of those points that you mentioned are things that I would do as well. I would also just try to be simple at first. Like maybe choose two main colors that will be like the main actor in your color scheme. And then once you develop it more, once you think about it some more, then you can add more colors. But I would just like try to tone it down to a few and then expand from there.
Yeah, another good technique too is think about like monochromatic, split complementary colors, like those. That whole thing is really helpful. Hellish Art says, do you ever use a reference photo just for the color scheme? I do that when I find a piece with color combination I like and use the coloring in my own work.
Yeah, for sure. You can use references for anything, including color. So that's also a really good point, Hellish D.
Yeah, I always will have some sort of reference for color scheme. Actually, for one of my projects, I was trying to design some environments. And so I scoured the internet and just found references of all these buildings, all these locations that were associated with the color that I was thinking of. And it was incredibly helpful for me as I was deciding to make what I was going to make. Like this. I think she's gonna have this. So I want to go for this kind of look here with this giant belt, skirt, armor thing. I think this would be really cool. You can give her some knives.
Darian Epp says, I love using references. They are a huge help when it comes to designing characters and imagining a new world. Good on you, Darian. Everyone should be using references.
That's become a theme for today. Everyone use references. Let's skip that. That's like one of the deadly things I do. I know Clara asked me that when I was in her class. She'd be like, did you use reference or maybe not, or maybe another student? And if they said no, oh, that was not fun. It was not fun to admit in front of the whole class. Don't need to relive the pain. But yeah.
So in my reference photo, I like bothered to wear sunglasses to see how it would work. And already it's like helped me immensely with the lighting here.
I really like how that's coming out. That looks so much fun.
Thanks.
Love the glasses. I need a pair like that in real life though. That's the only problem.
Yeah.
I have purple sunglasses and I have blue sunglasses, but I don't have green. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Even having purple and blue is like unique. I only have like brown and black.
To be fair, both of them were gifts, so I didn't buy them myself, but they happen to be the same style. I was like, oh, cool.
Interesting.
Neil says Lauren's knives will be shaped like sharp feathers. Oh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, why don't we just do the whole feather aesthetic since she is a goose warrior? I was thinking, I put so much warrior thought. I was like, oh yeah, there's a goose aesthetic here too. So
goose aesthetic.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's a weird sentence to say out of context, but you know, whatever. Let's see. So my old one, I have the head sticking out. Man, I have to face it down this way. Soitenly says, ooh, the green shadow on the face from the sunglasses. Oh, maybe it's like, ooh. I think that's what it's supposed to be. Let's see. Actually, I need to come up with some sort of cool backstory for this, like, world that Lauren is suddenly living in. Like, why did the people worship geese? Like, what's that about?
Geese are terrifying. Like, if geese had more power in our world, I would worship them too.
Well, it's funny because it's like usually when you think of an animal in this situation where they're like warriors, you think of like wolves or lions or something big like that. And it's like, man, make them bypass all those other animals to just land on geese. I know it was a joke for the sake of Lauren because she loves geese, but like realistically speaking, in a story, I wonder how that would work. Maybe have something to do with flight in water or something. I don't know. Like I know in we have a companion too. Would she? She might if I have more time. We'll see, because there's a high. There is a request to get some color in here as well, and I'm still figuring out the design. I'm kind of liking where this is leading. So I guess we got to determine, is it a goose companion, or are the geese so valuable that those are their leaders? Maybe she shouldn't have a goose as a companion. I don't know.
Maybe she's a companion to a goose.
Like a bodyguard or something.
Yes. Or maybe it's like the geese are in power and she's literally just a human familiar for the geese.
Oh, that's an interesting thought. Okay, I kind of like that. All right, so we might have to actually draw a geese here, like a full-on goose. Let's see. I've drawn so many people with staves, holding staves, that I should have memorized the gesture by now, but I haven't. Like the way to draw a hand. Let's see. What else can we do to give it? Some bones of other animals, because clearly she's a hunter. The palette knife. All right, let's give her like a little ankle palette knife feather thing. I don't know how that would work, but yeah, something like that. Swightenly says, paint a big G on her chest like Superman. Yeah, I feel like, okay. I feel like that may or may not be something they would do in this world. You know, like, would you walk around in this world with a big G? I'm not sure.
Maybe you can put the G as a buckle, like on her belt thing.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, like down here. That's a good.
Just make sure it doesn't look like Gucci or something.
Oh yeah, let me see what the Gucci logo looks like. She's like, we're so fancy out here in the wilderness.
One thing I noticed that with some beginner artists, when they watch or follow other more experienced artists who can draw directly without a reference, they think that is just how it's supposed to happen, but they forget that those experienced artists started out using references until they built up enough visual memory that allows them to draw without. Totally agree, Hellish D. I feel like, you know, it's just, I found when I was learning languages, like when I was learning French, of course, speaking to a native French speaker was going to help me in some way or form, but I felt like it was too advanced and I felt like I wasn't absorbing as much as I could when speaking with a native French speaker. But then when I spoke with other people who were learning French at the same time as me and were a little more advanced than me, I felt like it was easier for me to like interact and have a conversation and thus learn more through those conversations. So maybe it's sort of similar with this like reference photo thing, like beginner artists copying like really professional artists off the get-go, right on the get-go, is maybe not the greatest way to start. Maybe you should find someone with more of like similar, how do I say this? Like learning progression as you.
Just going, Cat.
Are you asking how? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I think it's like way more fun now than it was earlier.
Really? Why?
Because before I was really struggling, like, oh, did I get the proportions right? Oh, did I get the material of the clothing right? And then now that I have proper references and now that I can just like focus on painting and shading, It's a lot smoother.
More relaxing. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Soitenly says, how do you say Cowboy Jordan in French? I cannot answer that. That's all
I'm pretty sure cowboy is the same in French, so you would just be like Cowboy Jordan.
Yeah. I like that. I always found it really fascinating. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. If you're a beginner in Procreate, just watch any Procreate stream with me in it. Ha ha ha, says Clara.
Yeah. If you guys want to see me make fun of Clara, I do it in those streams too. Mostly in the beginning one. she's improved a lot since we started. I will definitely admit that for sure. But yeah. Okay, let's see.
Kathleen says, hi, so what did artists do before the advent of photography? Well, most artists would draw from life, and also artists would reference magazines and other printed materials that were available to them, probably.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jordan?
I guess it depends how far back you want to go, because I know like people like Da Vinci would literally like cut people open, see what was up on the inside, and like have them pose for all these hours and stuff. But people were always drawing from reference. I mean, if you look at even some of the cave paintings, like you could tell those people were around some elephants and some big old creatures, because yeah, their accuracy is actually stunning if you really look at it. Yeah, here we go. You're slowing. I need to give her some face paint too.
She looks stern so far. I like it.
Yeah, she's getting ready for battle. She's like, I must protect the goose at all times. I feel like she would enjoy that in real life, actually, on some level. You know,
just enjoy like just protecting geese.
Yeah, just like going out as a warrior, protecting geese and stuff like that. I feel like that she would find some sort of enjoyment out of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just my fancy because I'm just drawing, but. Kat, so I'm curious. Have you ever seen a show called Whose Line Is It Anyway? I know it's super random.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I've been
watching
that show for days because I have HBO Max for free with my internet plan. So I'm like, what's on here? And I found Whose Line Is It Anyway, and I am dying. I'm barely getting work done because it's so freaking funny.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Whose Line Is It Anyway? They're funny. One of my favorite Whose Line Is It? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
I was just going to tell one of my favorite Whose Line Is It Anyway moments where basically someone says, what is the most inappropriate commercial or something like that? And someone straight up goes like, say Mazel Tov to bacon.
That's the best. Oh man! Wait, for those who don't know what this show is, because the show came out like 20 years ago, it's an improv and just plays, and they'll take suggestions from the audience, and they don't have any preparation beforehand, and they're just making comedy. So they'll make up songs on the spot. They'll be like, you have to be Bruce Banner turning into the Hulk, and they'll find out like 2 seconds before they go on, and make it really hilarious. It's a hysterical show. I love it. That's been my whole week, basically. It's actually kind of nice.
Ooh, Hellish D says, I really like using reference photos from movies. I would take a screenshot from a scene and use it. In movies, you can find a wide range of facial expressions that I usually can't find online. Actually, yeah, that's great. Movies are another really good resource, and also, they're curated. Like they have great lighting, they have great color. It's because someone is behind the camera planning all of this beforehand and then shooting it. So doing movie master copies is totally something every artist has done at some point in time. Have you done movie master copies before, Jordan?
All the time. I do it a lot for environments and composition and stuff, and I'll figure out what they're doing. But I think it's one of the most valuable things you can do because, like you said, everything is curated, and so you kind of, especially like you strong. I find it's good. I have a question for you, Kat. So someone was asking earlier about, and this, not in this stream, but someone was asking me personally about, getting references, and I noticed they had like 90% or 95% other people's artwork, and not from real life. Do you think there should be like some sort of, or do you
Well,
think from?
I don't know about any of the other viewers, but for me, like Jordan, your internet's cutting in and out. But just to like answer the question of the artist's references, when I'm making art, I try not to look at other artists' artwork because I don't want it to influence me too much in that case, right? So I don't know if there's like a black and white rule for whether you should do it or not, because like of course I still look at some art, but I try to like avoid it altogether when I'm doing works and collecting references. But that depends from person to person. Like if I just don't think it's a good idea to have other artists' artwork as like a direct reference. You can get inspiration from it, but referencing it is another like can of worms I prefer not to open.
Gotcha. Yeah, the situation I was in, I was like, maybe you should have more in here because one of the things that I think is important, especially for like designing characters, is when you have reference from something that's real, there's often a greater authenticity to it. So I think it's always good to just have that sort of balance. But like you said, I can't give like a ratio exactly. But I do think that's important when it comes to finding references.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry about the internet cutting out.
No, it's not your fault.
Henry Vaux says, "Hey everyone, are these two drawings from a prompt?" Do you want to answer that first, Kat?
Yeah, I think they came from similar prompts. Basically, we were just trying to make a character design from each of the teaching artists at Art Prof. And I'm just expanding on the character design I did for Jordan, and Jordan is just expanding on the character design he did of Lauren.
Yeah. So Kat's making me into a cowboy, and I'm turning Lauren into a goose warrior. I'm making up the definition of goose warrior as I go. So I have no understanding of what's fully going to be like at the end, but yeah, it is what it is. Yeah.
So when I was taking reference photos, I really tried to make it very similar to the cowboy character. So I even found like a pair of earbuds and like draped them around my neck, like what Cowboy Jordan has too. And I was thinking, oh, I don't know if I'll even like use that little detail. I mean, it's such a minor, tiny thing. But if you guys look at like the before and after of the earbuds, like this is what it was before. And this is what it is after. Like I feel like that's more natural because I use the reference.
I like how you use the reference for something so small as the earbuds. That's awesome, actually. Because if it were me, I might have just drawn it from my head. If I'm being totally honest.
You can be like, you can never have too much reference.
Right.
Our prof is asking, what do you think is a healthy amount of looking at other artists? While it can be inspiring, looking at other artists can also be overwhelming and discouraging even. For me, it's not necessarily an amount. It's just when it happens. I like looking at artists before and after I'm doing artwork. But while I'm doing artwork, I tend not to look at other artists. I try not to let that influence me and discourage me. What about you, Jordan? Do you have an amount, or do you just have like a time period you look at other artists' works?
For me, it's more about the mindset that I have while I see it. Because I naturally just am looking at Instagram, checking out other people's artwork, or on ArtStation or something. But I think the key was in the question for me was just when it gets to a point where it's discouraging. When it starts getting like that, then I stop, because to me, there's no point in, art is hard enough as it is, and being really good at it, that I don't need to fight discouragement on top of that, which is a huge emotional strain on many people, including myself. So yeah, that's how I think about things. I think I want to turn this into like a fur coat. I feel like if I can use feathers, I can just use fur. Soydenly says, has Lauren seen the Goose Warrior idea? Yes. She was one of the main proponents of finishing it. And quite honestly, whether I do it on or off screen, or on the stream, I definitely want to like really, really touch it up. But we thought it was best to start off this way and just show you guys the process. But one day you might see them on the stream and it's like completely different and fully designed. Who knows? It'd be a lot of fun. Let's see. This. Your shirt. Design characters on the spot is difficult. I think that's why I thought of Whose Lines It Anyway, because it feels like that, but just doing art, doing improv. Seven Angelic says, it worries me so much I tend to just not look. I either worry I'll end up replicating by osmosis, or it just feels like I'll never be as good. I think that's almost always a struggle. Every artist I know feels like they can grow more, and they'll see something that inspires them and challenges them, and they'll be like, oh man, how will I ever be as good as so-and-so? And I imagine it's the same for music, language, writing, acting, whatever artistic medium you can think of. That's a tough one. Mm-hmm. But
I think when, I don't know, struggling and seeing other people do better than you or anything like that, I think it's also a good time to take a moment to celebrate self. Like, try to see the good in your artwork. Sometimes with my own art, I'm like, dang it, I can never draw as well as Takehiko Inoue or Craig Thompson. Like, I can never handle ink like that. But then I just like put all of their artwork aside and I just look at my own art and try to see what I like about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's like clean, it's nice, it's got some depth, it's got good characters. And just taking a moment to celebrate self. Even the minor things like, oh, I drew that finger on that hand really well, or something like that. These positive thoughts can also be encouraging when you do art.
Oh yeah. I have a whole folder on my computer called Inspiration for Rainy Days, just what I personally do. If ever I'm super, super like irritated or frustrated, I'll just open that folder and it's like it's screenshots of people when people comment nice things about my work or say something nice or just something that inspires me and motivates me, like reminds me of where I've been. I open it up and it always helps me. Some people do the opposite where they'll save every rejection letter. But I not to be a masochist, so I don't have that one.
That's so funny, Jordan, because like I have something similar as well. I have a little file of like things that have really touched me from people who have said something about my work.
Mm-hmm. It's always the best.
Orange Cat Spirit says, does what you watch, anime, live action, animation, affect how you draw or what you want to draw and paint? Oh my gosh, absolutely. Anything I watch, I like, right? And anything I like, I want to draw, of course. It does inspire me and it does influence me to do that. And I think this isn't just like something for right now. I think everything I've watched and read and looked at since childhood has always influenced what I do now.
Yeah, I would say the same. There's a proverb that basically goes along the line of by beholding we become changed, and basically means when you whatever you take in, whether it's good or bad, it will influence the decisions you make and how you and who you become. And so, in the artistic realm, there's certain things that I have watched over and over again, like Avatar or Spider Verse or something, and those have influenced me more than almost any other thing, even though I appreciate a lot of other stuff. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, I totally think that all impacts my work
Yuki
style.
says, when I look at another artist's work, I try to dissect what/why I like it and focus on that rather than getting jealous or beating myself up. That's a really good point, Yuki. I feel like also a lot of people, I do the same with my friends. Whenever someone asks me, who are your favorite artists? I'm just like, well, my friends, like the people on Art Prof, Julie Van Bassett, and, the people I've been friends with, like they're my art inspirations. And it's not just because they draw well, it's because I really like what they do. I really like how they do it. And they also inspire me rather than put me down. So yeah, just looking at artists' work and see why you like it is something that can really help you get over negative feelings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of my friends are so good that I'm like, teach me your ways. Like, I actually remember there were times where I would get jealous of some of my classmates because they're so much further ahead. And what some people will do is they will quietly hate them, and they'll be like, that person is just, and they'll make up all this stuff about them. Me, I'm like, no, I'm going to become their friend, and we're going to become really cool, and then we'll be able to help each other out, just like friends do. And there's been a lot of benefits from that. You gain another friend. Two, you get like free access to art tutorials via that person. Vice versa, you can help them out with something. Like I have one friend I always go to for painting advice, and she'll go to me for drawing advice. And it's just a nice reciprocal friendship. It's great.
Clara says, I am incredibly jealous of one of my colleagues' painting skills. So I became friends with her. There we go.
Yeah.
Jordan, you want to know something funny? I'm like drawing your stubble here, and that reminds me of a story I saw in class. Like I was the TA for this class, and this lady brought in a beautiful portrait. But take a look. She drew the stubble like this. She went along the chin, and she went like behind the ear. Like,
Wow.
and what's even funnier was that whole class was made up of women, so nobody knew that it was wrong.
That's hilarious. I'm so thankful I don't have that particular hairline. Goes behind my ear. It's exactly how Kat drew it. Oh man, I would feel miserable. That would suck. Really, probably be painful too.
Probably.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that at all. All right, I should probably draw her hand. I don't know why, but I always hands for like last. I know how to draw them. It's just I find everything else much more exciting for whatever reason.
Mm. Art process, Kat, what tools are you using for blending and shading? Are you using the smudge tool? What opacity are you using? I'm not using the smudge tool. I'm just using the brush tool. I don't know, Jordan gave me this like custom set of brushes and I only use the first one. And then it's the Merced Rough brush pen.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And I just like change the size here, and I also just change the opacity whenever I feel like. I hope that answered your question, Clara.
You know, it's fine. I tend to not use as many brushes as I have. Like, I probably totally use like 2% of the brushes that I have access to in my entire arsenal, from Procreate or Photoshop.
Yeah, same. I only use that one brush I literally just showed you.
Yeah, the past couple of streams, I've used the same brush for sketching the entire time. Even this whole stream, I've used the exact same brush. It's just nice and loose, and I like it. no other qualifiers. That's about it. Oh yeah, the G logo. All right, this looks nothing like the Gucci logo. I know that for sure.
That's good.
Yeah, there's a little more round and sophisticated and expensive.
You know, there's one brand name I always think looks super ugly, and that's Fendi with the F everywhere.
I don't know if I know that one. Do
I don't know. Someone in the chat probably
said. You just got problems with it, huh?
It's so ugly. Like, they put the F like everywhere, cross-hatching onto the fabric. And I'm like, I don't know why people like this.
Yeah. You know what the most difficult for me is when I'm working with a client and they don't have the strong sense of design. And so all the things that they want are super ugly. And like, you know, like that's the most difficult thing, because at some point it's like, do I hold on to my artistic integrity and really help them to make this thing shine? Or do I just do what they want and take my money and leave? You know, like I constantly have that battle with myself, but it is what it is. One time a dude just like semi-fired me because I was like, yeah, this is just ugly, dude. I can't make this work. He was like, all right, I'll go to someone else. Like, by all means, you want me to help? You hired me to make it look good. It's not going to look good this.
Well, I hope they paid you.
They did. It was like, it's just one of those scenarios that's like, what can you do? Sometimes you just got to count your blessings even then. All right, now I got to get Lauren some war paint. She needs war paint. And a red mohawk. Can't forget that.
Mm-hmm.
Can't forget the red mohawk. Yeah. Super intense. Man, I would not want to mess with someone who looked like this. Like if I'm walking down the street and I see this person with a giant red mohawk and a goose staff, I am walking the other way immediately.
You cross the street. That's what you do.
Yeah, I crossed the street, exactly. Like, I am not trying to be on the 10 o'clock news tonight. I'm out.
You know, one thing I'm being super careful about when juggling the reference of me and then juggling the reference of you, Jordan, is that I'm trying not to make you look like me. Because, like, I've caught myself using references for when drawing men, and I make them look too feminine because I'm female-bodied, and usually the character that is like doesn't look like that. I have to like be very aware of that when I'm using myself as a reference.
Yeah, I know that struggle. Even you've commented on that. You're like, Jordan, these characters all look like you. I've heard you say that.
Everyone you draw is super chiseled because you know why? You have a chiseled face.
Well, my excuse is that for animation and they're action characters. So yeah, that's the excuse I have. But no, you're totally right. I was actually on a call today about some characters I was designing, and they're totally right. But they're like, Jordan, everyone is a little muscular. And I was like, yeah, that's probably true. Because the character designer who I'm influenced by is Phil Barassa, and he does DC animated films. And so he's drawing Batman and Wonder Woman and Superman and all these super buff guys. And it just kind of flows into my work. And now I got to train myself to draw people who don't look like that. Oh, I forgot. All these spikes. Did we ever decide on a companion for Lauren? I don't know. Oh. Seven Angelic says, haha, Jordan has action hero chin. That's awesome. I like that.
Oh, you mean in my illustration?
Either way, it's awesome. I'm not phased either way. I think it's great.
Orange Cat Spirit says, okay, but for real though, I can't draw females if my life depended on it unless I'm doing figure drawing. Help? Oof. Well, to draw a feminine body, I feel like you really do need to look at real women. And so doing figure drawing, of course, is the first step. It's like you're observing and then you're drawing. That is what you're going to do. And then I would highly suggest you look at your figure drawings and then I guess your male body drawings and see what makes them different. So in my case, when I was drawing like this hairy man before, and I was using myself as a reference, someone came in and said, that man looks too soft and curvy and thin. And I was like, okay, that makes sense because like I'm a thin person and I do the arms kind of thin and stuff like that. And if I were looking at like a male body, I feel like there would be more edges and more contours and more muscle and mass. Like they tend to have larger shoulders than me. So just being aware of differences and then trying to apply those differences. You're not going to get it perfectly every time. Like I still have trouble drawing male bodies. So just practice.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And what you said is right. There is a certain pattern of shapes that you'll notice on a female body versus a male body, and recognizing those and learning how to make those work for your design or your drawing it's sort of an individual journey, but it's completely necessary. So you gotta pay attention to the little things. And also what I think might help is just learning more about how the body works, like what testosterone or estrogen does to the body and how it affects. Sometimes thinking about it on that level will really, and you'll start analyzing things a little bit more.
Yeah. And I think it's also good to note that nothing is ever reserved for just female or male. There are a lot of things that overlap. There are a lot of bodies out there. There are a lot of different kinds of bodies out there. So just like seeing differences and drawing differences, just try not to like be so stuck on like, oh, the female body is this exact stereotype and the male body is this exact stereotype. No, there are plenty of bodies out there.
Orange Cat Spirit says, I think ultimately if you think less about the gender and think more about that unique person and how you can capture them, that's what matters the most. Yeah, I agree. One example actually of a character who kind of has both traits is, if you guys have ever seen Hercules, the Disney version, when he's a teenager, there are a lot of aspects of his design that don't fit like the super macho, masculine character we all think of. Doesn't have broad shoulders or, very chiseled jaw or anything like that. And so they're able to mix him match those things and get the result that they did. So, yeah, sky's the limit when it comes to this sort of stuff, guys. All right, now I gotta start thinking about my color palette for Lauren. See what I can come up with. I'm a little nervous. Color's so challenging to me. Like, I know how it works and everything, but I find it really tough.
Oof, same.
Neil says, any tips on drawing forearms? I hate forearms. That is so specific. Wow.
Yeah.
I've never seen a question like that. That's so funny. Do you want to?
You're pushing it off onto me, aren't you?
No, I mean, I can answer, but I want to give you the opportunity in case you have some.
Okay. Again, I would try to look at different forearms and try to draw different forearms. I would also maybe be a little familiar about the anatomy of the forearm. So I'm going to try to draw an example. So this is a forearm, right? And then this is going to be the hand that I'm going to draw. That's a thumb. That's a hand. Hopefully you can see what I'm trying to draw here. And like there's some muscles here, right? Like usually when someone bends their arm or something, there's like something that protrudes here. There's like a muscle here. I know there's also a muscle that goes along the arm like that. Did I get that right? Hold on a sec.
Yeah, the brachioradialis.
But I might have like got it in the wrong position. Hold on, because the thumb is here. And then shouldn't the muscle be there?
It's on the top side of the arm, so it's across this way.
Across?
Yeah, like, let's see.
Did I get it right?
Yeah. It's like this. So basically, yeah.
No, because before I had it pointing the wrong way. I'm like pretty sure it's like that actually.
Oh yeah, there you go. Oh, it's upside down. That's yes, that's
okay.
right.
Yeah, because I know it like points like towards the thumb, but like being a little bit aware of the muscles that go on in the forearm will help you, and also how does fat rest in the forearm too, right? Like there are fat forearms out in the world, and trying to see how that looks as well and drawing them. Hope that answered your question, Neil.
Yeah, I think honestly, a lot of the questions that you have will be answered just by doing it a lot. If you struggle with something, there's no sense in avoiding it. And this is me speaking to myself as well, because I avoid certain things that I struggle with. But you know, like Kat said, think about the muscles, the flexors versus the extensors. Just for people who don't know, flexors, like when you flex, that's all this side, and then extensors, when you extend, it's all the top side. That kind of stuff. And yeah, just study from your reference. And generally speaking, if you're drawing, you have an arm to look at for reference. So you can always do that. You can always just look at your own arm. All right. Time to figure this out. I don't know what Lauren's color scheme is going to be. I'm thinking like, not sure if I should do like earthy colors, because that's more like the warrior aesthetic that I was kind of going for, but she's also known for how wild her colors are. So
I really don't think you should do earthy colors. I think you should do wild colors for Lauren.
Wild colors, such as?
Lauren wears a lot of bright yellow.
Okay. Maybe I'll make that for this cape. To do that. Yeah. Usually when I do colors, I'll have like, let's say this is like a completely finished drawing, I'll duplicate this at like 12 times and color underneath the lines and make it really small so I can see it from a distance and pick my colors that way. I don't have time to do that now, but that's how I normally do it. I gotta change her skin tone too. She looks kind of sick a little bit. Lauren basically doesn't wear muted colors, pump up the saturation like crazy. Okay, it's gonna be interesting. All right, let's figure out how to do that. I try not to have overly saturated colors everywhere when I design a character because it could become too much. But we could definitely have a super saturated color. So I guess that'll just be the yellow. Neil says cadmium red, ultramarine blue, yellow oxide, and cad yellow are Lauren's favorites, I think. You know,
Oh, Neil, do you have like an encyclopedia on this?
yeah, that is so specific. One thing is some of those colors, like you know, what'd be really interesting if they had like in Procreate or Photoshop, they just had this is what yellow ochre is. You know, like a palette that's pre-made, because they don't ever have that. When you say cad red, I have to think back to when I actually painted with that color. Atlas says Lauren loves patterns too, including some type of pattern will be a good idea. All right, so I'm gonna cheat and use some pattern brushes. I'm not drawing out a full pattern. It's just gonna be a time saver because we only got, well, we have time left, but not enough for me to design a whole pattern from scratch. Do you think you're gonna call Cowboy Jordan done after this, or do you think you're gonna keep adding to it in later streams?
Oh my gosh, I have to keep adding, because like I thought I would get some finishing touches down, but really I got like proportion, like your face actually looks like you now.
Yeah.
And you know, the clothing a little bit more tighter, so I haven't really focused on texture.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. When I paint, it's just me painting and painting and painting until it seems kind of right.
Yeah, painting is challenging for me. I don't know why, but it's always been that way, and I wish it weren't that way. I'm actively fighting it, but my goodness, it's not as intuitive as drawing is for me. And even drawing is really challenging still. But,
everything's hard.
yeah. But whenever I start thinking that way, though, I have to fight it. And I remember a quote from my favorite artist, LaShawn Thomas, and he said, "Nothing worth having comes easy." And I'm like, all right, I gotta embrace that as much as I don't want to all the time, because life be tough. Life be tough. Right. I don't think we really need this anymore. Oh yeah, now I need to color in the staff. That's the last thing. I feel like she would have like dipped the staff in some sort of paint or something. You know, I don't know. I just get that vibe.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, my life would be so much easier if I could just like have reference for red leather.
Google the Thriller video.
You're right.
That's what.
Just pull up my phone.
Yeah.
I don't have to show the audience everything I'm doing. I'll just search the reference right on my phone.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone else use your imaginations.
You know what? I've always wanted to own some sort of like imitation of the red leather jacket in Akira. Have you seen that?
I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen the whole movie, but I do know the jacket.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone wants a red leather jacket for whatever reason. It's too cool, you know? Like, I can't think of a single red leather jacket that isn't cool.
Clara has a question for you, Jordan.
Oh. Whoa, back up, Jordan. How'd you remove all that yellow around the goose head in one swoop? Oh, okay. I use the selection tool. Here. So I'm pretty sure I've gone over this, but what we do here, actually, wrong layer. Try it one more time. So let's say I roughly colored this in like that, and I just want to get rid of it all. I'll take the selection tool at the top right, you see it highlighted in blue, and then I will basically trace over it. And it's as if I'm cutting it out with, with scissors. And I just circle that whole area. And now everything inside of the shape has been selected. And I can either erase it or turn it to a different color. Or in this case, I just take the move tool and I just literally slide off the canvas where it'll disappear forever into the abyss where it will never be seen again. So yeah, that's how I do that. All right. All right, now it's time for Lauren's saturated colors. All right, let's see. Let's give her bright yellow. This. Maybe. Yeah, I want to do like the saturated colors, but I also want to balance it. I don't want it to look like, Willy Wonka's factory.
Yeah,
going wild like that. But let's see what we do. Let's see. I have them all muted. Good news, this is just for fun, and it's not like it's an assignment that I have to turn in or something. So I can just kind of chill out, relax a bit.
Chill out in front of like the 67 people watching us live.
Yeah, precisely. It's exactly what it's like. Lisa H says, I finally bought a red leather jacket. It's too pretty to wear. I might as well nail it to the wall. Wall art.
I'm envious, Lisa. You have a red leather jacket that we are all dreaming of owning.
My grandfather used to have this jacket, and that was so cool. And everyone in the family fights over it. It's from World War II, and it's a brown leather jacket that has Bugs Bunny hand painted on the back, but like the 40s version of Bugs Bunny before Space Jam and Chuck Jones and all that stuff. And it's so cool. And I want to have it for myself because I'm like, look, of all the people in our family, I'm the only one who can draw Bugs Bunny. So I feel like I should get it.
You've earned it.
Yes, precisely. My grandpa would be proud to know that I could draw Bugs Bunny. If he was, so.
Wait, so whose possession is it now?
My uncle has it right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fight your uncle.
My uncle's bigger than me, and he was in the military, so I don't think that's going to go very well. I could certainly ask him for it. But yeah, fighting him that's not going to go well for me. That is a losing battle. So, yeah. Let me pull up my reference again. Let's see if I can get some inspiration. These are so muted. I don't see. What's a warrior that has a lot of bright colors? I'm trying to think. Oh, you have a question, Kat. How are you deciding what edges to make sharp and what edges should be really soft?
That's a good question. I think I'm mostly relying on my references to see when the edges should be sharp versus, soft. So as you can see in this jacket reference I have, a lot of it is kind of sharp. So I tried to make the lights and the darks sharp there. But then when I zoom out and I look at the skin and the lighting on the skin, it's softer, right? So then I will try to make it softer. So I think it's a mixture of reference and also being aware of what material you're painting. So leather tends not to be too soft, right? Like you have some dramatic creases and shadows and differences in edges. But when it comes to like the face, depending on the face, there's like wide swaths of smoothness. So then your edges would be soft. Rely on your references.
There's an ongoing theme in this stream concerning references I'm noticing.
Yep.
An hour plus into it.
Your name says, how do you get used to Procreate's workspace? I like Clip Studios better. Well, in my case, Procreate and Photoshop are all I've really known. I've never really used Clip Studio, so maybe it could be better. Maybe I'm just not widening my horizons. I think it's just a case of like, I'm used to it. I've known it, I've used it, and eventually you will adapt to it. What is your take on that question, Jordan?
So I never used Clip Studio until about 3 or 4 months ago. And even then I still barely use it. Um, the thing with Procreate's workspace that I like is everything is very simplified and condensed, and anyone can pick it up and learn it. And I think that's kind of the goal. Whereas Clip Studio Paint, you pay a certain amount of money. I think the cheapest might be like $60 or something like that for whatever lowest price thing they have. And, you get to do huge projects, comics, animation, things like that. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I don't mind it either way. Personally, I can do everything I need on either, but I guess it's just a matter of personal preference. LHD Art says, now with coloring, Kat's character looks like a combination between a man from Agrabah and Flash, and Jordan's looks like a combination between a Viking warrior and let's see. Oh.
Oof.
Oh, it's so good. I really like how yours is coming out, Kat. I gotta say, that's awesome.
Ooh, thanks. It's all thanks to the references.
I just want to hear some music in the background, like some Western, like this, the stuff. Like I just want to hear that. It's epic. Rising Kieran says, how important is using color theory when doing shading?
Ooh, color theory when doing shading. I mean, I think color theory is applicable whenever you're doing color. So yeah, I think that
Yeah.
it's very applicable when doing shading. I mean, you're working with color, but also with value. And I feel like certain colors and certain values, they function in shading just together. So yeah, you need a solid basis of color theory to do color and shading.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to like just that question in itself kind of says how important color is. Um, but there are some things to keep in like the balance between warm light and cool shadows, or cool light producing warm shadows. There's the overall color palette. There's if you want something to be more saturated. I remember watching Prince of Egypt, and one thing I noticed, one of the little details they had a greenish light on them when they're in like the hall in for Ramses, and Ramses' bounce light was like a pink color, and I was like, oh, that's so pretty. Like I don't think I would have thought to do that. So you can come up with a lot of interesting stuff. Just gotta experiment and see what works. I have no idea what I'm doing. Right? I just like purple legs. This might be best as like some sort of analogous color scheme.
Jill says, I mess up warm and cool shadows. Well, a way to think of it is if you have warm light, you tend to have a cool shadow, and if you have a cool light, you might want to have a warm shadow to contrast that, right? So is that what you mean by messing up? Like you don't know when to use what? Or do you mean that you mess up if a shadow is warm or if it's cold? Like you can't tell. Is that maybe where that question's headed? Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, that's the way I would interpret it based on that. And I think what I do, because I sometimes struggle with that, especially if I'm looking at reference and I can't tell, I will actually sit there for like 20, 30 seconds and just really figure it out and make sure I understand that. And I do that early on, like before I even really apply color, because after I get to a certain point, it's hard to remove. It's hard to kind of take back. So I think it's worth it to just study what it is that you're going to produce and just remember that formula. Even if you have to write it on scrap paper to the side of you, just like warm light, cool shadow, and work on your painting that way. That may help. I don't know what warrior would dress like this. I feel like warriors should be more hidden, but she's like, nope, I am gonna be super flamboyant, fun, and everyone's gonna see me coming.
I feel like Lauren's warrior outfit is like a bird of paradise kind of outfit.
Yeah. I feel like, you know who would wear something like this? Someone who lives in the capital in the Hunger Games.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, like someone like that, maybe someone who's like never been in the Hunger Games but always admired the sport, and this is like their version of wearing a Lakers jersey to the game.
Jesus, jeez.
It's what I'm picturing. I don't know. Maybe I'm incorrect in my assessment.
No, I feel like. Clara says, Lauren told me once that there was a Hunger Games of RISD faculty, I would win. I feel like Clara always brings up this fact whenever Hunger Games is mentioned.
You know what's funny? I actually haven't heard that brought up, but then again, I don't think you've ever mentioned Hunger Games.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, maybe. So what? I'm curious. I know, Clara, you're not on the stream, but what makes that the popular consensus? I'm curious because it's been a while since I've seen some of my RISD teachers, so I gotta know.
I feel like Clara is quick to adapt. Like, Clara was raised in the age where you had to use references from magazines, or like you had to you didn't have a phone camera or anything to take your references, and then she went from that to nowadays where she's fully operating Art Prof on multiple digital platforms. So I think Clara is very adaptable, and also Clara is very cutthroat. You've been in a critique where she rips someone apart. You've seen that, haven't you, Jordan?
I've been the one. Not I've seen it happen. I've been that person, so that makes sense. Yeah, I could see that for sure. Especially the adapting portion. But so is it like a legit Hunger Games that just happens to be like the RISD faculty, or is it art related, like tournament style? I guess that's the next question. So I'm not sure.
But what do you mean by art related? Like making art,
or like making art and having some sort of tournament, or are we talking about legit slaying people?
I think we're talking about legit slaying people.
I just want to know. I got to get these answers. I'm curious. Curious now.
Clara says slaying people, Jordan, in all caps.
All right. I wasn't gonna call anybody. I didn't want to call anyone violent. I'll put it like that. just want to make sure. Don't want to offend. I guess now is a good time to quickly put in shadows. This is one of those things that I'm definitely, if I'm going to continue this, I need to think about the color palette way before. So I'm like, ooh. This one's tough. Some shadows. Jill says, so would their super cowboy Jordan have a cool cast shadow? Would I?
Maybe. Depending on how much room I have. Yeah, let's give you a cast. But I kind of wanted Cowboy Jordan to be in a vast landscape, and if I gave him a cast shadow, it would look like he was against a wall. Maybe that's for the best. Maybe I should just give you a cast shadow. Oh, dang it. See, if I had known that, I would have taken a picture of a cast shadow. I'm like looking at my references, like desperate for a cast shadow, but there isn't one.
Yeah, just got to make it up sometimes. That's how I'm dealing with this right now. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm putting shadows where I think they would go, and beyond that, we're winging it. I don't always recommend it, but in dire times, sometimes you just gotta do that. I'm not feeling these purple legs, so gotta figure out a solution for this.
They're somewhat of a cast shadow right there.
Sweet, cool cast shadow. Because the comment was specific, it has to be a cool cast shadow, can't be.
Cool cast shadow. You're right.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. We only got a couple minutes. I'm just gonna wrap this up however I can.
Okay.
I'm like, huh? But it's not looking terrible. But there's only, but so part of me, I'm a perfectionist. If anyone doesn't know that, and I'm constantly like, how do I improve this? How do I make this better? And I don't want to say my mind is tortured necessarily, but I overthink things in my mind, and I find it very challenging to let things go when it comes to a piece of art. So, yeah, it's all right though. Figure this out. Hey, Kat, I have an idea for Cowboy Jordan that kind of goes.
Yeah, what is it?
Huh?
What is it?
So the idea kind of goes with what I was saying before about adding music. You'd have like, you make a GIF or a GIF, however people say it, because I've heard both, and just have like the soundtrack playing and maybe like a little bird just going by or like a tumbleweed. Just
Ooh,
it turns like pretty awesome.
Yeah. I'll have to learn how to do that.
You can do it in Procreate.
Ooh, okay. Clara says, Jordan, Laura needs patterns.
Oh, that's right. You were so right. Okay, patterns. What the? Whoa, this thing is glitching on me. Okay, patterns. Okay, we'll just use this. Bam! She's got polka dots now. This feels like something she might rock. So there we go.
Hellish D says, Kat, what is it you do when we see the circle? What tool is that? Oh, that's the color picking tool, but picking colors directly from the canvas. So it is this square here on the right. Do you see that? Ooh, I can't see. Okay, so you see the circle, right? Basically, I'm clicking right here to get it, that little square over there. So when I click that square, that circle appears, and I get to pick a color on the canvas. So here I'm picking the green for the glasses, or here I'm picking the yellow from the lightning bolts. So I'm constantly picking colors from the canvas.
Okay, here we go. Now Lauren's got patterns.
Oh my gosh, she's gonna love that, Jordan.
Let's see, what colors do we do for this? This purple's actually not too bad. Yeah, there we go. Now let's just clean it up a bit. Yeah, this is totally the art version of Whose Line Is It Anyway?
It's really coming together with the patterns, I think, Jordan.
Yeah, that was a great reminder. Thank you so much for whoever said that.
That was Clara.
Clara? There was more than one person who said it, but someone just now. But anyway, thank you. I'm just gonna open that up. All right. Okay, last couple of things. I just clean up right here. Clean up those legs, because otherwise it's just gonna bug me for the rest of the time I'm viewing this. How many layers do I have? Not much. All right, there we go. There's my Goose Warrior Lauren. So, yeah, I think this is fun. Oh, wait, let me make sure you guys can see it all. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for checking us out, checking out the stream. Kat and I will be in the Art Along's Discord channel after we end the stream, so feel free to come talk to us there. Subscribe to the Art Prof YouTube channel, and also thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. You guys are super helpful, and we cannot exist without you. So thank you so much. To everyone else, have a good evening, have a good rest of your week, and take care.